Alright, so first round we queue up against Death Shadow. I think this matchup is a fine matchup. Um, I actually don't really hate our position here. This keep is fine. Two bolts, a secure tribe elder, and a primeval titan. So we've got two ways to survive against the would-be regressive decks and a payoff card. Of course, he leads off with an Inquisition. So that doesn't really disrupt us. I mean, it's going to slow us down. Um, Primeval Titan does cost 6 mana, and we're not making it any faster to get there. Plus, he knows we have double Lightning Bolt, so the odds of him going into the danger zone are basically zero now. From our point of view, we don't know that he is Death Shadow at this point, um, but looking forward in this matchup, I think it's fine. And everything I'm having to do early in the matchup is pretty straightforward here. So I think that this is a fine keep against a wide range of unknown opponents. I would just probably keep this all the time unless I just knew what my opponent is on. Him casting Thought Scour kind of gives us some information. Of course, we see a Death Shadow and a Lightning Bolt in the graveyard now, so the the jig is up. We know what he's playing, and the need is to play a very early Tasker, so just search up a Stomping Ground here. I believe I double Lightning Bolt this Tasker, which is kind of awkward. But at the same time, like, we want to preserve our life total here. So there's no real need to hold on to these Lightning Bolts when we know he has them. Plus, I feel fairly confident in being able to kill my opponent if I can just resolve these Primeval Titans or through the breach them into play. They're going to do most of the work for me. So even if I just draw like a bunch of ramp spells on a Valakut, I can probably just kill them. And that's why I like this matchup so much. They do so much of the work for me, and I can very explosively deal 18 damage. So I can definitely deal 14 damage right here or less very easily. So casting Serum Visions. Important to note that he kept both cards on top and didn't do anything else. So that is very important for us to note. I think whatever land we decide to play here is fine. Probably could have played the Forest, but he would know then that we have a Forest. So right now we get to preserve information on our 3 unknown cards. He Thought Scoured us there, I believe. I looked at his graveyard, but he Thought Scoured us. Revealing another Secure Tribe Elder and a Cinderblade. Thoughtseize kind of annoying. We have double Titan, so not a big deal. The only big deal would be is if he had Surgical Extraction. I think some of these decks play like main deck Surgical Extraction in some number. So that would just be a big deal because then he would just be able to like axe my win conditions plus get a card out of my hand. So that would be pretty unfortunate. Summoning Trap is not a great draw. They don't typically play too many counter spells as far as like Remand or Mana Leak. Pretty sure they're on the low end of those. So Summoning Trap is not really a great draw, other than just being a 6 mana, try to put a Primeval Titan or Emrakul in play. So him tapping 3 probably means Culligan's Command here. Or it could be, yep, so it is Culligan's Command. I think I discard the Summoning Trap here, and I think that that's fine. I kind of want to keep my Forest. I kind of want to keep my Primeval Titan. Those are the sure bets. Summoning Trap is not really a sure bet. The fact that our opponent got Tasker back is a little annoying. He gets to play Tasker immediately if he wants to, and just deal away his graveyard. Even more, now he gets to keep a card in his graveyard and play Tasker. So that's kind of annoying. Plus, he's achieving his end goal of going a little bit lower in life, so his Death Shadow is now a 2/2. The Thoughtseize, I mean, it's fine to keep that there. He's basically just hoping that he doesn't hit a spell when he activates Tasker, so that he can just Thoughtseize away my Primeval Titan and then leave me with 1 card. And I think that's fine. Keeping in mind that our opponent only has 2 cards in his library, I only have, or 2 cards in his hand rather, and I have 2 cards, and he knows what I'm buying. So if he goes for this Tasker line, that pretty much is like a signal that we're in a good spot here. So he does have a Snapcaster Mage. Fortunately, he's already played his land for the turn, so we're just going to give him the Snapcaster Mage. He can't do anything terrible with it against us right now. We take 5, and we get to hopefully resolve a Primeval Titan here. That would be ideal. Looks like we do cast Primeval Titan, and a Stomping Ground in our hand is very good. It means we can go get 2 Valakuts here, and just be ready to play the Stomping Ground and deal 6 to him, deal 6 to Tasker, 3 to something, whatever. So this is just a really good spot for us. Plus, he might still pull the trigger on this Thoughtseize if he has like a Terminator or something in his hand. And if he does that, then he just dies because he goes to 6, I play my Stomping Ground, and he's just dead. So, turns out something like this kind of happens. So, Lightning Bolt on our Titan gets to then Snapcaster Lightning Bolt back. So, he is still out of range from our Stomping Ground. And we are on a 2-turn clock after we take this damage. Important to note, the Lightning Bolt is also gone, so you can't like Tasker it back. Explore gives us a chance to draw a win. If we just draw another mountain, Search for Morrow does count as another mountain as long as this resolves. You could have Stubborn Denial though, so it's not a sure bet that this resolves. It does, so our opponent should just be dead. And they didn't do like everything that Death Shadow wanted to do, but I mean, he played a turn 2 Tasker. He milled away 1 Death Shadow. Like, this was a fine draw by him. It's just our draw was kind of awkward and really still turned out very well, So we win game 1. Cards we board in here, basically, just like I talked from the deck tech, not going to board in the Reclamation Sage. There's basically no chance that they ever have an enchantment or artifact that we care about. None of our other board cards are very important. You could say Grafdigger's Cage. I don't think Grafdigger's Cage is great. Don't think there's a need for it. The random Lightning Bolt is fine. I think that the random Lightning Bolt probably does more. I don't know why the color changed. I think the random Lightning Bolt does more for us than any of our other board cards could do. Computer decided to dim and then brighten a lot, so there's that. So once again, I think this matchup is fine. I just think that we can be just as explosive as they can. And Stubborn Denial is very good against us because it does hit our Through the Breach, but we can just play mountains. We can just kind of grind the game out. Sakura Dry Boulders will block. We have a few different ways to interact with them on a positive basis. And they don't, like I said, they don't really play counterspells for creatures, so if we just get to 6 mana and just cast Primeval Titan, we're kind of in a good spot. I remember playing this game and like thinking about this, knowing I was going to record a video that this is exactly where I talked about Stubborn Denial. So yeah, Stubborn Denial can be very good against us, but overall I think we are set up to be fine here. It's also important to note that Stubborn Denial also does affect our Summoner's Pact. So, it's important because sometimes you need to Summoner's Pact for your Primeval Titan, and if they have a Stubborn Denial, they can just stop it then. I think this is a fine hand. I've got my finger over the keep area. This hand is resilient to Thoughtseize. Inquisition does hit my Sakura Dry Boulder, which is kind of annoying, but if they have, if we get to cast Sakura Dry Boulder and then they have Inquisition, then we still have 2 cards that they cannot take. We've got a Valakut in hand, So unless they have Fulminator Mage, which is a card they've warred in, we are kind of resilient. Because they have Fulminator Mage, it is important to kind of fetch basics. So I think that initially my lines would be to play these foothills and get a lot of basics. Also, because we have Escape Shift in hand, we definitely want to fetch out 2 basic forests off the Sakura Tri-Elder and the Wooded Foothills in some number. We only have 2, but we have 3 ways to search them up. And I don't think we would get punished very heavily by the Valakut and the forests, although that could lead to an awkward game. The reason I say that I don't think we get punished is basically because they ward in Fulminator Mage. It's more likely that our Valakuts are always just going to get sniped off pretty early. It's a little bit slow. I mean, he did quite a few things game 1, but our clocks are quite a bit different. So I did have the Thoughtseize, which is kind of unfortunate. I think he should take the Sakura Tri-Elder here, given that we don't really have a way to ramp. They do have Fulminator Mage. I think that he should take the Sakura Tri-Elder, although you could make an argument for either other card. I think Sakura Tri-Elder is the card that kind of enables everything, as far as that goes. Also, he didn't see through the breach, so he also doesn't necessarily know that, and that's fine, especially with a deck with Surgical Extraction, taking Primeval Titan is not a terrible choice. So he didn't see through the breach game 1, so he could now just think that I'm a Escape Shift deck. It's just straight Escape Shift, which is kind of misleading. Now, they both fall into the same avenue of being instant or sorcery for Stubborn Denial, but, he could get into a situation where if he takes the Escape Shift at some point, maybe he falls victim to a Through the Breach. Not thinking that he's dead because I only have like 5 lands in play, and then I just Through the Breach him out of nowhere. So that's actually an important thing to note, that he didn't see Through the Breach yet. Now he's seen Escape Shift. He knows we're playing Escape Shift. So he would probably have been leaning towards me playing Escape Shift in the first place. But search up a basic mountain here. Bloodstained Mire is fine to play there, although he did not know about it, so it kind of gave away a little information there. Maybe it was not necessary. Probably should have just played the foothills. I can get both forests anyways, but this is fine. Also, to note that he milled a Death Shadow and a Gurmag Angler, and he's very quickly dying. So if we can piece together some things, we could probably kill him pretty quickly here. But that's the Thought Scour problem. It does what you want, but if you just draw a bunch of Thought Scours and Serum Visions, your deck is just kind of like, eh. He did put 1 card on top with his first Serum Visions, and I believe he bottom topped on this one. So this looks like it's going to be a Tasker. And in that case, I don't think there's any reason for us to sacrifice the Sakura Tri-Elder here, because that's going to put us at 3-4 mana on our turn, so we couldn't even cast Through the Breach, so there's really no reason for us to sacrifice the Sakura Tri-Elder here. What this often does also is, these decks with Lightning Bolt in it, is they'll get in a position where they want to force through damage, so they will just Lightning Bolt your Sakura Tri-Elder. And I'm still not certain that that's correct, but it is something that I've seen a lot. So he has a Gurmag Angler, which is fine. We have this little chump blocker over here and no reason to sacrifice it. Kind of unfortunate that we drew another Valakut. The reason being is we're going to have to play one of these lands eventually. And we're kind of in an awkward position where, like for example, next turn, if we want to cast Primeval Titan, we can, but we have to, no, we can't even, we're 4-5. So if we have Through the Breach, we can potentially cast that. Is this the Kolaghan's Command? So we only have max 5 mana next turn. So that means, yeah, this is Lightning Bolt that I was talking about. That means that at best we could cast Primeval Titan 2 turns through the breach next turn. This forces our hand. But if we want to cast Primeval Titan on time for certain, like we have to play Valakut this turn, which makes us weak to Fulminator Mage unless we draw another land. So it's kind of a delicate little balance here. Drawing the Sakura Tribeholder is pretty good. It allows us to play around the Fulminator Mage in a way. He can still Fulminator Mage away our Stomping Ground, but then we're kind of in the same kind of position. And the other big thing is we just don't want to get surgically extracted regardless. Like, we don't want to play the Valakut and him Fulminator Mage it and then surgical extraction it. Especially with Scape Shift and through the Primeval Titan into play. Or in hand, sorry. And he knows about the Scape Shift, so he's always going to be on the lookout for that. Now, the good news for us is we do have the option to sacrifice Sakura Tribeholder here, search up a forest, and then play Valakut on our turn and hope to resolve a Scape Shift. That is a line of play that we have access to. And once again, just like we said before, he's taking the line of Lightning Bolt, my thing. Now, he needs to get me dead, so this is a little bit different. I said I wasn't sure if it was correct. I think in this position, it might be just because he's forcing through 10 damage. So, it is one of those things. 2 cards in hand, Stubborn Denial is turned on, but drawing another Valakut here almost certainly signals that next turn we cast the Scape Shift, and we just get to cast Primeval Titan here, and kind of put the onus on our opponent. We get to, actually we just kill him here, right? Yeah, we just go get 2 mountains, that's 12 damage. Each one is, no, it's 6 damage, sorry. I'm thinking about these other Valakuts in them. So once again, we are still kind of weak to that Fulminator Mage, though. We really have to hope for no surgical extraction if he has a Fulminator Mage. And I take the line of killing this just in case he has a way to kill my Primeval Titan. And the reason is, like, so let's say his hand is removal, he's basically dead regardless. He is Terminate. He's basically dead regardless. So, like, we just draw mountains and we're dealing 3 to him. And he has no pressure, and he hasn't really shown any pressure. So now we just get to resolve Scape Shift, easy peasy, unless he has some kind of weird counterspell. Play Explore, just to play the other Valakuts. Then just go ham, tap a bunch of mana. We're a little bit short of being able to cast Obstinate Baloth and Through the Breach, but that's okay. This game just should be over. Stubborn Denial. See, that also turns off Stubborn Denial when we kill his Gurmag Angler. So, we really kind of got rewarded for everything we did there. Killing his Gurmag Angler instead of his face, which could open up lightning bolts to killing us, Snapcaster Bolt. There's just every number of reason to just kill the Gurmag Angler and worry about him. He had double Stubborn Denial, so we definitely played around that card to the best of our ability. He had the exact hand basically that we described. If he has removal spell and a counter spell, this is the best because it kills his thing and it gets rid of his counter spell. And it played out to be exactly that. So that's that.